Right, let's review A Quiet Place Part 2. Good movie. Written and directed by John Krasinski. Starred John Krasinski, momentarily. Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, and the fantastic child actors, one of which is actually deaf, Millicent Simmons. Now, look, I really like the first one. But make no mistake, when I heard that they were making a sequel, I was very much of the opinion, hey, look, I don't think there's anywhere, I don't know where you're going to go with this that'll make it worthwhile, you know? It was a good movie, good story, self-contained. I think that's the best sort of approach, you know? It was a good self-contained movie, nice, well-rounded. It was almost one and done. You know, you could end that film and your imagination could run wild. So that's kind of my mindset on it, right? Now, I really like this film. They don't reinvent the narrative massively. Make no mistake, you know, it's not suddenly a huge narrative shift or anything like that. But it works really well. It's very well shot. John Krasinski is a really good director. Okay? Now, obviously, he starred in the first one, was also directing it, I believe. So, to come back and be predominantly just the director, because obviously his parts are in this due to the first one, you know, him being dead, are few and far between. And I think that is to the benefit. I think he's a good director. So we'll talk non-spoilers, then I'll get into spoilers with a fair warning. So this movie does leave off where the last one did, which you'll know from the trailers. So the last one ended, they figured out a way of killing I think they're called Death Angels or something like that. That's how they've been termed now. And that's where it was left, you know. Put the hearing aid up to a speaker frequency, sends them mental, and then they can shoot them, right? Because it lifts off the sort of exoskeleton plating, the sort of plating, armor plating that they have. Really, really great end scene for the first film. And again, that's kind of where I thought that they should have left it. Because you can imagine where they're going to go. You don't need to see it. You know? But no, I really like this film. So it continues straight away. Right? Again, which you would have seen from the trailers. They've left the farm and they're going off into the world. And it's basically their story from then on. They've got the newborn. Don't ask me, why would you ever get pregnant in this environment? But, you know, whatever, I guess. And you sort of see how the world has changed. Not a lot, but you see how the world has changed. And it's their story. It's just the Abbott family story progressing, right? But it's intertwining with other people's stories. Cillian Murphy's character's story. Emmett, which was actually a former family friend. Again, this is non-spoiler. This is not really any... Don't worry about this. This is not spoiler-filled. I'm not going into any detail here. Nothing's going to spoil the film for you. Now, one thing I really did like, which again, you would have seen from the trailers here, is that they didn't hide the creature anymore, right? You've seen the creature. They don't need to hide it, okay? And they didn't really hide it in the first one, but they did. They used it sparingly until the very end of the movie. Now, we've already seen it. So, again, in the trailers, we open with a bunch of flashbacks, right? Which is really, really good. Really good flashbacks. They were fantastic. Scene setting, world setting. It also grounds you back to that family life that made the first one so endearing. But then obviously flings you straight into the story moving forwards again, where they're not a family anymore, but they're trying to be, and they are sort of, obviously, but they've lost, you know, the patriarch of their family, the dad. And it brings back that sadness. And I think from a screenplay perspective, that was very well written. Because you need that, you know. The first one was so good because those touching moments in that film were great. It's what solidifies it, you know. It's what brings it down to a level where most people can relate to it. So you needed that, and them opening with that was very smart. And it's John Krasinski's writing, right? So that's very smart of him. And then yeah, it's them going off into the wild. Can't really reveal anything else. It is incredibly tense still. There are so many moments where you're just like, oh my god, people are going to die, people are going to get eaten. Because again, the first one established itself in such a great way where no one was safe. Again, like straight from the off, they killed that kid, and you're like, whoa. So you already know in this world, no one is safe. The dad dies in the first one, you're like, whoa. So when they put these characters in harm's way, you do actually think, yes, someone could die. And that's good writing. It is important. I don't want to watch something, especially not a movie like this, a creature feature horror film, where characters have major plot armor. I'm sick of it. I don't like it. I'm sure you are too. They did very well with removing that from this film. And the first one. Both movies go hand in hand in that way very, very well. Now, they don't have a lot of locations in this film, but what locations they do have works very nicely. They are dressed very well. Whatever sets they have are dressed very well. It's a very lived-in world, but it's a very desolate world. And that sort of juxtaposition between the two could be hard to juggle, but I think they do it just enough. And I think those looking for answers in this film get just enough, basically. Yeah? I think this film, although of course they made this film because the first one did so well on such a tiny budget that they wanted to capitalize on it again, I feel like they've told a very satisfying story here without it merely seeming like a cash grab. They've also wound the narrative up in a way where you could just call it a day and people would be very happy with it. But if they did want to do a third, you could continue this story even where they finished it off, this particular narrative part, and you would tell another really good story. It could absolutely work. Both avenues, yeah, they're right for the taking. Music was great. I really like the sound in these films. I really like the first one, where they sort of zeroed in on people not saying anything, and the deaf girl's world of all sort of, you know, muted hum, sort of silence, that sort of thing. I really like it. It's not to everyone's taste, of course not, but I like that sort of the artistic sensory approach to these films that they've done. I appreciate it. I know not everyone does, but I really appreciate it. So if you like the first one, you'll like this one. And the score that they pepper in through this is haunting. It is absolutely haunting. And it's heart-wrenching in moments as well. Yeah, strong recommendation, this film. Strong recommendation. It's not out in the UK for a few days. People have been hounding me. They're like, "God, when are you going to see it, Mr. H? When are you going to see it?" I'm like, "It's not out in the UK." I've seen it on... This is bank holiday weekend here in the UK. It's like a public holiday. And they've just shown it as a preview. And then it's out on Thursday. So in a good few days. And I'm really glad I went to watch it today. To do the review for you. Because anyone who's watches me from the UK, you must go and watch it on Thursday. It's a very good film. Very, very, very good film. Really worthwhile. Really worthwhile. Cillian Murphy's such an underrated actor. He's great in this. Emily Blunt is very, very good in this as well. And Djimon Hounsou, he's good in everything. I like seeing him pop up and stuff now. Because I'm just like, hey, it's Djimon Hounsou. Yeah. Like, he's just good. I like to see him in stuff. He's great in this as well. Strong recommendation. Strong recommendation. But we're going to touch on spoilers now. So if you haven't seen this movie, go. Please do. Don't stay for spoilers. Please do hit subscribe on your way out. Because you've stayed this long. You do like the review, clearly. Please do hit that thumbs up button on your way out as well. But we'll talk spoilers now. Okay? Spoilers. So, the story is they are leaving the farm. They have to leave the farm. Obviously. There's nothing there for them now. It's burning down. Which I did actually forget from the first one. I was like, oh, it's burning down. Oh, shit. So there is an inbuilt reason why they're leaving. It's burnt down. They've got nowhere to go. Why would they stay there, right? The corpse, the dad's dead body's there as well. It's horrible stuff. You don't see it, FYI. So they're leaving the farm. And it's their story going out. They meet up with Cillian Murphy's character. Because they find one of the lights. They plot out where someone had lit one of the lights that we'd seen in the first one. He was on top of the silo. They light the fire. Someone else lights a fire. They plot it out. And they go. And it so happens to be Cillian Murphy's character. Which is shown at the start of the film in a flashback. Where we see the meteorites come down. Right? Which carried these creatures. which is epic. And it was really like, whoa. It was a very, very... it was just like, it was apocalyptic. You just see it, and the effects were great. It wasn't overdone, just enough. And I think that's the take home from these movies. Anyone else who wants to make movies that, you know, can make movies and fund them and watches these, do this just enough. Don't overdo it. And they did it really, really well. And then we see the aftermath. We see how they come down and how they rip through people in seconds. Basically, the whole town is gone in seconds. And it's mental. And it does go some way to explain why the world went to crap so quickly. But there's also some things which are thrown in there towards the end, which reveals that they shouldn't be entirely as they are. So we'll get to that in a moment, because it's a bit confusing. So they do a great way of explaining everything, but then also sort of contradict themselves. So anyway, Emily Blunt meets up with Cillian Murphy, begs his help. He doesn't want to help anyone, but he begs him for help. She begs him for help, sorry. And the girl, the deaf girl, finds a radio station that's been playing non-stop outside of the valley that they were in, where the farm is. And this radio station playing non-stop is actually a clue of where to go. It's a call to arms. It's like, come to us. And it's an island. Because lo and behold, these things can't swim. Which is what they reveal at the end. But they also reveal that the National Guard knew that. They were like, oh, when we figured that they couldn't swim, they loaded up the boats. And I'm like, okay, so if they knew that they couldn't swim, why is the military not just like gun-shipped the whole, you know, like the states? Like, why, you know? Surely you'd come on and off boats and you'd kill them like that. Or you'd set up like a speaker system on the shore. Boat would go back, you turn it on, and then they'd gun them down from the shore. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't get that. But I don't know. It seemed like a plot hole to me, but I thought nothing of it really until this review, so it's not that big of a plot hole. And anyway, so they basically they do it all. The little girl, Cillian Murphy's character, goes to the island. Puts the aim is that they go to the island and they put the hearing aid on the PA system, which is then on this radio thing playing worldwide, nationwide, so that they can terrorize these creatures into a submission. They can kill them, basically. That's the aim, so they can give help to everyone. They still don't know the frequency, doesn't explain it, but doesn't really need to. They show the world how people are just, you know, scrounging, killing other people. It's horrible. The effects of what's left of the world is great. Desolate, but lived in. Awful. Remnants of societies. Horrendous stuff. Yeah. And they do it, FYI. So they round out to the end nicely. They actually do it. She puts her hearing aid up to the speaker system. Manages to kill one. While simultaneously the boy kills one as well. Protecting his mother and his sibling. I don't know whether they said it was a boy or a girl. I can't remember. Did it really, really well. It was a great movie. Strong recommendation. There's not much else to go into in spoilers here. Like, you do genuinely feel that they could be in danger. You do genuinely feel for the characters. It is a good film. Strong recommendation. So if you have seen it, let me know what you think. If you haven't, why did you say this long? But thanks so much, guys. Take care.